Today we are starting with our first chapter of class 11th, that is some basic concepts of chemistry. And today's topic is laws of chemical combination. What are laws of chemical combination? Whenever some chemical reaction takes place, it is according to certain laws, and these laws are known as laws of chemical combination. These are: first law is law of conservation of mass. Second is law of constant composition. Third is law of multiple proportions. Fourth is Avogadro law. Fifth is law of combining volumes. Law of combining volumes, or also known as Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. There is one more law which is known as law of reciprocal proportions. We'll cover up the first 5 laws in this chapter. So, very first law is law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. According to this law is stated as: in all physical and chemical changes, whenever there is a physical change or there is a chemical change, the total mass of the reactants is always equal to that of the products. Whether it is a physical change or a chemical change, the total mass of reactants is always equal to total mass of the product. Mass of reactant should always be equal to the mass of the product. This is also stated as, another statement for this law is: matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. Neither be created nor be destroyed. Now, to understand this law, first I am taking the physical change, example of physical change. In a physical change, we are taking ice. So, I am taking a flask, a conical flask. In this, let's say approximately we have 200 grams of an ice in this. So we have to weigh this ice mass before melting. We have to melt this ice. So before melting only, let's say this is 200 grams. Now we will heat this flask. On heating, the ice will start melting. And this will change to water. So this is changing to water. Mass of this ice, it has changed to water after melting. When we'll weigh it, we'll find out that this is also equal to 200 grams. So in a physical change, the mass of reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Now we'll take the example of a chemical change. In a chemical change, I am taking copper sulfate, and second reactant I am taking is a sodium hydroxide. So again we are taking a flask here. In flask we will take copper sulfate. There is copper sulfate solution in a flask, and in this we are adding sodium hydroxide. So we'll hang a test tube inside this which has a sodium hydroxide solution in it, and then we'll tilt the sodium hydroxide tube into this copper sulfate. On tilting this into the copper sulfate, what will happen? The two reactants, they will start reacting with each other. So this solution, sodium hydroxide, will get mixed up with the copper sulfate solution. And the two reactants, when they will react, this formation of copper hydroxide and sodium sulfate will take place. These are the reactants and these two are the products. So here we have the products, that is copper hydroxide and sodium sulfate. Mass of copper sulfate plus that of the mass of the sodium hydroxide will take first of all. Let's say that mass of these is 60 grams, and now we will take the mass of the products here. The two products are copper hydroxide and sodium sulfate. This will also come out to be 60 gram. That means mass of reactants is equal to the mass of the products, whether we have a physical change or whether we have a chemical change. The mass of reactants is always equal to the mass of the product. So this is the first law, law of conservation of mass. After the first law, we'll move on to the second law, that is the law of constant composition. Second law is law of constant composition or definite proportions. Law of constant composition or law of definite proportions. This law states that a chemical compound, any compound we can take here, a chemical compound is always found to be made up of same elements combined together in the same fixed proportion by mass. Now we take an example to understand this law. For example, we are taking carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is always made up of same elements, and these elements are carbon and oxygen. Carbon dioxide is always made up of carbon and oxygen elements. This is the first part of this law. A chemical compound is always made up of same elements. Now come to the second part. And these elements always combine together in same fixed proportion by mass. These elements here in this compound, they always combine together in a same fixed proportion ratio by mass. Now, which mass we are taking here? Atomic mass of these elements we are taking here. So now we take carbon and oxygen. This is carbon and we are taking the oxygen. These two, they combine and what we get here is the carbon dioxide. This is carbon and here we are getting the two oxygen atoms, O atoms, and this one is carbon. So when carbon and oxygen combine, what we get is carbon dioxide. Atomic mass of carbon is 12 gram. Atomic mass of carbon is 12 gram. So 12 gram carbon is combining with the oxygen. Atomic mass is 16. So 16 plus 16, 32 gram. It combines with 32 gram of oxygen. And when they combine, we have 12 gram here and oxygen, how much we have is 32. What's the ratio of carbon and oxygen elements here? This is 3:8. So whenever the compound is formed, it is always formed of same elements, and these elements also always combine in a fixed ratio by their masses. Like carbon dioxide is always made up of carbon and oxygen, and they always combine in a fixed ratio of 3:8 gram by their mass in CO2. This is a law of constant composition or definite proportion. The limitation of this law. What's the limitation of this law? This law is not applicable in different isotopes of an element. Like carbon dioxide, carbon is C12, it is also C14. So ratio will not come out to be 3:8 in case of C14 taken here. If we take carbon with 14 atomic mass, this ratio will be 14:32. Then it will not be constant, it will not remain the same. So this law is not applicable to the isotopes of an element. After the second law, the third law is law of multiple proportions. Statement of this law. According to this law, when two elements combine to form two or more chemical compounds, then the masses of one of the elements which combine with a fixed mass of the other bear a simple ratio to one another. So again, to understand this, the example is when two elements combine. We are combining two elements, like I am taking carbon and oxygen, and they combine to form two or more chemical compounds. So from two elements, carbon and oxygen, I am forming carbon monoxide, and I am taking the second compound, of carbon and oxygen, that is carbon dioxide. So this underlying part is clear. When two elements combine, when two elements, carbon, oxygen, they combine to form two or more chemical compounds, two compounds we have taken of these elements. Now next part, then the masses of one of the elements in these two compound, masses of one of the elements will be same, like carbon will be same here, while the other element mass will be a simple ratio to each other. Then the masses of one of the elements which combined with the fixed mass of the other bear a simple ratio to one another. For example, if we take carbon here and second element I am taking here is the oxygen in carbon monoxide. Mass of carbon is 12 gram, atomic mass we are taking, and oxygen atomic mass is 16 gram, atomic masses we are taking 16 gram. Now in carbon dioxide, carbon mass is 12 gram and we have two oxygen atoms here, 16 grams, 16 grams, so total is how much? That is the 32 grams. Now see, here carbon is 12, oxygen is 16, here carbon is 12 and oxygen is 32. One of the element masses is the same in the two compounds, while mass of the other element, that is oxygen in this and oxygen in the second compound, it's 16 and this is 32. Their ratio is a simple multiple ratio. If you are taking 1 gram oxygen here, in this case you need to take the 2 grams of this. If one of the elements masses is the same, then other element mass, their ratio will always be a simple multiple ratio. This is a law of multiple proportion. Now next law after this is the fourth law, that is the Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. This is applicable to gases and to their volumes. From the name only it is clear. Now to understand this law, first I am taking the example only. Let's say we have a gas 1 combining with gas 2 and forming another gas 3. Suppose the volume of this gas that is combining with the gas 2 is X volume. X volume of first gas combines with Y volume of gas 2 and we are getting the Z volume of the gas 3 here. So what is the ratio of their volumes? Ratio of volumes of gases in this. X ratio, Y ratio, Z. So whenever the gases they combine to form a product, all these in a gaseous state, then they always combine in their volumes. And the ratio of these volume is a simple ratio. The ratio of these volume is a simple ratio. But condition is these should be taken under similar conditions of temperature and pressure. So now statement of this law is, when gases react together, they always do so in volumes. Whenever gases they react, they always react by their volumes, which bear a simple ratio to one another. And the ratio of their volumes is the simple ratio, and also to the volume of the products. If these are also gases, provided all measurements of volumes are done under similar conditions of temperature and pressure. So whenever gases they are reacting, they always react together in their volumes. They have to react in their volumes, and the ratio of their volume is simple ratio. And if the product formed is also a gas, then the ratio of this product also will be a simple ratio, provided all these measurements of volumes are done at same temperature and pressure. For example, I'm taking hydrogen gas combines with chlorine gas to form HCl. Now here hydrogen is one volume, chlorine is one volume, but we are getting two volumes of HCl gas. So ratio of their volume is 1:1:2, which is a simple ratio. So this is Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. Now fifth law here is Avogadro's law. According to this law, equal volumes of all gases under similar conditions of temperature and pressure contains equal number of molecules. If we take equal volumes of gases, provided they should be taken under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, then they will have same number of molecules. For example, we are taking one volume of hydrogen and we are taking one volume of chlorine. According to the statement, if their volumes are same and conditions also are same, that both these are taken at same temperature and pressure, then they should contain equal number of molecules. Let's say one volume has n molecules. So even here one volume should have n molecules, because if volumes are same, then the molecules will be same if conditions are same. So we are taking hydrogen and we are taking the chlorine gas. In case of hydrogen, in this one volume, these many molecules are there. And if we are taking the chlorine gas, then also there should be same number of molecules. Molecules should be same. This is one volume I am taking. One volume has how many molecules? N molecules I am taking. And if I take two volumes, that means I should take 2n molecules. They will also double up. So therefore, can I say volume is proportional to the number of molecules? Volume is proportional to number of molecules. This is the formula for Avogadro's law under similar conditions of temperature and pressure. If same temperature and pressure is there, then according to Avogadro's law, the volume is always equal to the number of molecules. So these are the 5 laws that we have to use whenever chemical reactions they are taking place. They have to obey these laws called the laws of chemical combination.